How are you? Hope that you're all doing good. Welcome to my lecture. I had the great pleasure to meet and connect with some of you in our last session. So that was great. So let's formally dive into the module. So today is the first module, session one, where you're going to understand about taking a review about understanding what is autism is all about. So we will dwell into that. Okay, so let's look at the modules. Okay, so at the end of this module, okay, so I hope that you will be able to have a good understanding about what is autism and what are the historical contexts, okay, how to recognize the characteristics and symptoms of children with autism, and also to debunk some of the common myths and misconceptions surrounding autism. Some of these might be familiar with some of you, but I think that it's good for us to have a good understanding and a background about what's happening. So let's move on to the next slide. Leo Kanner in 1943 was the first person who introduced or at least wrote something called the term of autism. Okay, since then, autism has become part and parcel of the entire thing. So you find that autism is basically a neurodevelopmental disorder, okay, which affects the brain development, and so it affects the way a child's development is affected. Now you may see that there's no known causes about what causes autism, because you will see that there are many, I would say speculations about saying that what causes, or is it medication, hereditary, or whatever it is. But what I think we need to understand is that at the end of the day, if a child is in the autism spectrum, okay, I think what is more important to understand is that we do not compare our children with other children, because this is a spectrum. So if you have seen one autistic child, it means you have seen one autistic child only. So let's be very frank. So instead of doing a comparison, let's try to appreciate our own children and try to understand their needs and then try to help them. Okay, so that will be the greater thing. So if you go to the next one, you can see that basically in this you can see that the brain development, okay, how the brain regions are affected by autism. Okay, so whether you are looking in terms of the cognitive processes, okay, how well the child can think and do, or is it that it is his learning styles, everything is sees that and is affected by the neurodevelopment disorder our children are going through, and so that will actually affects the way they feel, their emotional outbursts. Is there going to be an emotional outburst, or is there going to be a drastic meltdown, or is it that they're going to do things in a way that we are not accustomed to? Because as a neurotypical person, we may find it very odd to look at our children doing things in certain way. But I think what is more important is for us to appreciate why the children is doing that and try to understand and to dive into their world, so that it gives us an idea of trying to help the person. Okay, so let's look into that. And then, okay, so you can see that there is a big spectrum, okay, of disorder, okay, whether your child is a ADHD, okay, in the sense that he has a attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, okay, which affects his attention, his sitting capabilities, and etc. And he just can't stand still. Okay, I think sometimes it's very important to understand all this is because it's not only these kids. Actually, some of us also have this issue where we just can't be still sit. Right? We need to move around, a kinesthetic, because it's also a reflection of your learning styles, which we will look at that later. Definitely, they may have things like the GI disturbance, that is the gastrointestinal disorder, okay, or disturbance, okay. So some children may have, and everybody also can go through that. So it's something that for us to take a look and see. Other things like OCD, you know, whether you're obsessive and compulsion disorder, okay, obsessive compulsion disorder, I think is because you want to think, you always think about it, and you're always obsessed about certain things of cleanliness and everything, and you're always thinking about it and trying to do the same thing or repeating behavior, which actually, sometimes people call it, are you OCD? It's a very common term to ask. Okay, so what is very important is that the spectrum is there, and because it is a spectrum, you must understand that the spectrums have varieties, one extreme to the other extreme. I think the common issue is that most people will look at the other extreme of the very successful people and say, oh, people in this spectrum, they are great artists, they are great musicians, they can do this and they can do that. But I think what is very important to understand is that not every one of our children is gifted. So so we need to accept that and to understand that because it is a spectrum and there are many different complications, that can affect your children. And so if you have, so you need to be very clear to diagnose your own, to get a good diagnostic about your child's condition, and then do accept what is given, and then from there let's work on, okay, because the child's performance can vary. Some children can be very verbal, some children is totally non-verbal, so all these affects the way they communicate, the way they react, the social interaction, their learning style, everything is affected. So very important for us to accept that. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you a video. Okay, I'm going to show you a video, and before we see the video, I just want you to ask yourself, okay, let's take pause about 2-3 minutes, okay, some of the signs and symptoms of autism that are you familiar with? Okay, some of you may, some of you may not. And what are some typical developmental milestones children reach in their early years, okay, or should expected to reach, okay? So I want you to take a look at this and think through, and then let's enjoy the video. Okay. Okay. So you just watch. Okay. Now, thank you. Okay. Thank you for coming. And so let's take a look and understand that how might the milestones, okay, differ for children showing signs of early autism. So basically, um, you will find that children with autism tend to miss certain milestones in terms of their verbal, in terms of their recognition, and etc. So, what are some similar or familiar aspects of? Okay? So you can see that the signs of autism varies, okay, from a lot. Okay, for example, children repeating the same thing, doing the same thing. They like to arrange things in a straight line. They like to do the same thing. They don't like changes. They have emotional meltdowns that just happens for no reason because suddenly there's a loud sound which just triggers them, or their behavior is like hand biting. They like to bite their hand. Okay, all this, okay, gives you an idea that children in this spectrum do exhibit certain things. Okay, no eye contact, non-verbal or monolingual, monosyllables, or it takes a long time for them to process what you ask. And so you'll find that sometimes there's a incoherent talks and replies because some of us must have found that you ask your child something, and then I know after about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, suddenly from you will be asking him something and he will reply to Oh, color yellow. You see, what's that to do? But if you recall, you asked him, what color do you like? And it took him about 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes for you to process it and to tell you the answer. You see, so this is where sometimes the interactions, looks difficult. And so understanding a child's different um, signs of autism is good for parents to understand and get a good diagnostic to confirm before you do actions. Okay, you take the necessary actions. Okay, so here's another video which I want you to take a look. Basically, looking at some of the myths and facts of autism. I think some of us have come across. This can be a bit cultural. It can be a bit of religious. It can be your belief systems. It can be even where you are. Makes a lot of differences. Okay, please enjoy the video. Okay, so there are some myths, okay, that people do talk about. Okay, myth is in the sense that it is because of vaccination. Statistics have shown that vaccinations, okay, is not a contributor. Okay, so is it a poor parenting? Okay, you don't know how to take care of your child, or you don't know how to raise your children, and so that is why they're behaving in that way. That is also a myth. It just has nothing to do with your parenting style. Okay, nor is it about is there an hereditary, or is there a background, or if you come from a certain social status background, then you may have autism children more. All these, does not hold true, because people have shown that autism affects everybody, whether you are rich, poor, whether you are high in social status or low in social status, it doesn't matter. It affects. Okay, I think what is more important is, as a parent, okay, we need to understand that we are given a child with autism. Okay, I think that trying to look at it from a different perspective, I think what is very important is, let us understand and accept, because you can't do anything. You can't change. You can't say, I don't want this child. It's not possible. I think what is more important is, the sooner we are able to accept our child with autism and do the necessary follow-up in helping the child, okay, as early as possible. I think that is what is most important. Okay, so we all are into this, because we have children with autism. So let us work together. Let us see what we can do to help each other. Okay, so just to conclude, okay, so you can see that we touched on many things. I think what is more important is just try to understand that autism affects the neurodevelopment of the brain, okay, which, in a sense, disrupts the way we behave. Okay, so what is very important is, let's understand this and we try to help our children. Now, if you go to the next, okay, so this is the reflection. Okay, so you can just scan the QR code, which will bring you to the Padlet where you can type in your reflections. Okay, so I hope that everybody can go in and look at and to give your reflection. Please understand that that for each module we have divided the lecture into two parts: session A and section B. Okay, session A and section B. So at the end of each session, there's going to be a reflection. So please complete. And then in session 2, there's a video reflection, or written reflection, whichever you want to do. But what is very important is that you have to complete for each module at least one of the two reflections. Okay, in session, either you do session 1 or section B2 reflection. Either one and submit in order to be certified. Okay, all the best. Take care. I'll see you soon.